This week's Mental Health Tips addresses marriage intensives with my special guest, Gil and Brenda Stewart. Over the past several weeks of this series, I've talked about different types and reasons that couples seek marriage counseling, but today's a little bit different. Hi, I'm Angela. I have a husband with bipolar II disorder, my kids have ADHD, and I myself have struggled with depression. You're not alone. Can you just kind of tell us what a marriage intensive is all about?
Well, a marriage intensive is a time for a couple to come together without interruption. It's just Brenda and I, one-on-one. I mean, it's a husband-wife team working with another husband-wife team who are stuck or are in crisis. And so they come together so that they can actually be heard without interruption, without cell phones, no kids, no job to worry about.
Sounding good.
So they can really focus on what is this issue that is causing them to not hear each other. And so it's a safe place for them to work through really tough issues.
Okay, so it's kind of a time of crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe just give me a little description as to why someone would seek out a marriage intensive, spending a lot of time, away from their family and really getting into the depth of things, as opposed to like a weekly marriage counseling session where they go for an hour and then come back the next week.
Right, which I think traditional counseling has its place. But a lot of times in traditional counseling, a couple will get to a point of a breakthrough and it's like, oh, sorry, we've got to go. Everyone's got to run somewhere, right?
Right.
And that's the beauty of the intensive is we could be coming up to a point where it's like we're going to have a breakthrough and we don't have to stop.
That's amazing.
That's really...
Yeah.
And the couple sets the pace. I mean, we know a direction where we want to go, but if the couple needs to tap out and take a break, that's fine. And 3 days, if you think about it, is such an investment in your family and your marriage and your legacy. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 3 days of 8 hours a day equals out to about 6 months of counseling if you were to go once a week. So,
Wow.
Yeah, during that 8-hour day, of course, we include some breaks.
Right. Okay, that's good.
Because
eat food,
eat and give time to process. But I think it's like we're calling the plays at the line of scrimmage because they're coming in with their defenses up, and that's where we really just don't want to assume that we're going to have a breakthrough without kind of just following with what they're having to deal with.
Right. And each couple is unique. So you're using, I remember you saying that you use different types of assessments and really get into the history of the relationship and find out what's going to be appropriate for each couple, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, we customize every intensive because every couple is different.
Right. Yeah, that sounds incredible.
Well, we want them to stop assuming and actually listen.
Okay, so that's...
And that's a huge part because then they actually begin to feel the feelings of one another, and we try to equip them with a new dance, with some new tools, and build their confidence so that they have time to practice the skills that we're working on right then and there. Another big thing that we see during the intensive is actually a time where they begin to soften. They've come in really hard, hurt and wounds, and every time I think about that, it's so intense because there's a break, and it's emotional.
Right.
But
it's life-changing.
It's really life-changing, and it always is followed by tears, and they actually lean into each other, and sometimes it's like, are we going to get there? And then something happens. That's when the Holy Spirit shows up, and that's what the intensive opportunity allows.
Right. And I love the title that it's a restoration intensive because it's a restoration of the marriage, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of what Psalm 147:3 says. He heals the brokenhearted, right? And binds up their wounds, curing their pains and their sorrows. And we can depend on God for that. And He meets these couples right there. You guys can pray together. And I would just love to hear from our listeners just on what their thoughts are on marriage counseling and especially marriage intensives. How does this sound to you? We'd love to hear from you, and we don't want you to miss out on some great resources that we have in the notes below. And I just want to give a big thank you to Gil and Brenda today.
Thank you.
And if you would like to connect with them, please go to gilandbrenda.com. And we also want to thank His Heart Foundation for supporting this channel. If you want more in-depth mental health information for you and those you love, check out mentalhealth.academy today.
Are you or someone you love or work with struggling with depression? One of the biggest things keeping you from a thriving relationship with them is understanding what depression really is. Have you found yourself asking Google or reading blog after blog, trying to figure out how depression is affecting you or the person you care about? But there just seems to be either too much information or it's like reading a college textbook from a psych student. This need is why we at His Heart Foundation created Mental Health Academy, a place where we give you the big picture understanding of what depression is through video courses featuring Christian counselors who specialize in depression. We know and understand that a clear picture of depression will give you the confidence and comfort in your depression or in the person you care about. After taking this course, you will have a new confidence in yourself and in working with those who have depression, and you will see your relationships soar.